Good to have you on the program, Darrell, and thank you very much for talking to us.
Morning, Leanne. Thank you, and thank you to the viewers.
What information will be scrapped by the National Credit Regulator?
There are two categories, basically. It's judgment information, and there's two values attached because there are two proposals that are on the table, one for judgments up to the value of 10,000 Rand, and the other for judgments up to the value of 5,000 Rand. In addition, any default information, for example, if one is listed as having had a debt written off or been handed over for legal action, those indicators would be removed. And in the one scenario, also judgments which have been repaid up to the value of 50,000 Rand would also be removed. And in fact, judgments stand in court or in law for a period of 30 years unless rescinded for a legal reason. And there are specific conditions under which a judgment can be rescinded.
Now, the amnesty might clear around about 2 million people. What would it mean to the debtors?
Well, it challenges the ability of the credit provider to distinguish between good and bad payers, because then everybody only has positive information on their credit profiles, and it becomes difficult to assess the real risk related to each credit applicant and each credit user. So the likely response is that everybody will end up paying more because that ability to distinguish is removed. So the likely response is that credit providers will charge higher interest rates. Everybody, not...
Sorry, continue.
So in other words, even the good paying consumers will end up paying more for their credit because the distinction between good and bad is removed.
All right. Now, I mean, there were headlines last year of South Africans having high levels of debt. You know, is this amnesty a good thing for consumers and credit providers?
Well, in my opinion, no. And the reason is because it doesn't address the fundamental causes of financial distress. So whether people actually have sufficient income, whether the cost of living is something that they can cope with, and more importantly, the financial discipline that is inculcated by the removal of information is challenging. If you look at the previous amnesty, people who received amnesty in 2007, about 41% of them re-defaulted within a period of 2 years thereafter.
Yeah, I mean, one of the proposed reasons for allowing this amnesty is for economic reasons. I mean, do you think this is a good decision? You know, couldn't it just get people deeper and deeper into trouble, thinking, well, you know, I'm going to get away with it again?
Well, that is the concern, and in fact, what we are very keen to understand is the additional imperatives that the Department of Trade and Industry and the National Credit Regulator are proposing, because from what we understand from engagement with them, this is one initiative amongst many, but we're not informed yet of the other initiatives. So final comment or judgment needs to be reserved, but the pure removal of information, to our mind, is not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, there are plans to create more stringent affordability assessments among credit providers to avoid consumers falling back into debt. What do you think these new constraints are actually going to be?
Well, I think it's probably related to the level of income to installment ratios. For example, how much disposable income a person has after the existing commitments, and how much of that disposable income can then go to new credit. But one of the biggest challenges one has is, for example, the credit that I hold today, I may be able to afford, but when the next petrol price comes in and my food price or cost goes up, my petrol cost goes up, then suddenly my disposable income shrinks. So there may have been a good decision made at the time that I took the credit, but as time goes on, my ability to service those obligations becomes challenged by factors not related directly to the credit agreement.
All right. Let's leave it there for now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Executive Director of the Credit Providers Association, Darrell Beghin, chatting to us from our Pretoria studios.